Hello Python programmers, this is AK. In this video I'm going to explain you a complete architecture of one ETL data pipeline using Azure. And if you don't know about Azure, Azure is one of the popular cloud services in the world and it has a lot of features to explore. Specifically in the area of data science and data engineering, there are a lot of tools are available. So if you want to explore Azure and its data services, so this video will help you to understand some workflows in Azure Data Cloud. Before that, if you are a beginner in Python or Azure, then this video is not for you because I'm not going to cover the basic concepts of Azure here. It requires a lot of time to explain about the basic concepts. So you beginners must go through some basic concepts in Azure and explore some data services in Azure separately to get understanding of this video. Okay, so that's all about the introduction. Let's dive into the concept. I have one raw data file here and that is stored in Azure storage account. So my objective is transform that raw data into a meaningful information. For transforming my raw data, I used different services in Azure. The first one is Azure Blob Storage. I used this service for storing my raw data files, and then the Azure Data Lake Storage. I used this service for storing my transformed data file. In between these two things, I'm using another two services that are Azure Data Factory and then Azure Databricks. In Azure Data Factory, I will construct a steady data pipeline. It will take the data from the blob storage and it will validate my data. Once the validation is done, the data is transferred to the Azure Databricks. Azure Databricks is like a Jupyter Notebook interface. It has some features such as distributed computing, Spark language support and many. I will write my data transformation code in Azure Databricks and then I will attach my Azure Databricks with Azure Data Factory. So it will form a unified pipeline, and finally the transformed data will store on Azure Data Lake. So that is the end of our data pipeline. So let's get started. In the first step, we have to create one container on blob storage. In the blob storage, I already created one container called input. This is where I will upload my raw data. Same like you have to create another container on data lake storage. I already created a container. You can see here I named as output. That is our destination. So once the data is transformed, it will automatically comes here. So that's the concept of this entire pipeline. And let's go back to the resource groups. In the resource group, I already created Databricks service and Data Factory service. I haven't done any pipeline setup here. Let's create our first pipeline in Azure Data Factory. Open the Azure Data Factory now and it will take some time to open. You can see here they showed the capabilities of Azure Data Factory, and we are going to use two important features of Data Factory that are data ingestion and data transformation. And let's create a data ingestion pipeline. So this is the interface of Data Factory and I'm naming my pipeline as data ingestion. So once it is done, we have to drag some functions from the Data Factory to create our data ingestion process. First, I'm dropping the validation function because in real time, the data container may hold different type of data. You have to validate the particular data that you want before start the ingesting process. I am following that good practice here and it is recommended too. You must need to validate your data before you start the process. Next, you have to drop the metadata function. Metadata is nothing but it contains some information about the data. The information such as how much rows and columns are present in the data like that. And there are a lot of other informations are present in the metadata function. Now we dropped required functions. Let's connect our data sources. First, you have to upload the raw data file into our input blob container. So when it is done, you have to attach that source data into our validation function. For attaching our source data, you need to select the validation first and go to the settings tab and click the dataset and create new. Now click the storage type. In our case, we are using the blob storage to store our raw data. So I'm selecting the blob storage linked service and then choose the type of data that you have. I have the CSV file here. The CSV file comes under the delimited text format. You need to select that service. So let's name our raw data linked service as source and then you need to select your data linked service. So select the file that you have uploaded in the blob storage account, and remember one thing, you have to follow this procedure for connecting the data to different services. You should need to remember this step because we are going to use this step frequently. Now select the get metadata function and go to the settings and select your source data here. And once you've selected, you will see the field list. Click new item and then select your validation type. There are a lot of validation types are available, and let's select the validation type as exist, which means if your file present in the source, then the validation will be cleared for the next steps. Other than that, there are a lot of validations are there, so it is better to explore other validations on your own. Our simple validation setup is now done. Let's drop other functions into our screen. So I'm dropping here the copy and delete functions into my screen. By using the copy function, I'm going to copy the data from my blob storage to data lake storage. When it is done, the delete function will automatically delete our input file in our source blob storage. So it is typically work like a move function from one folder to another. So in the copy function, you have to select your source and destination storage accounts respectively. So select the copy data and go to the source and select the source data service. Now go to the next tab. Sync represents our destination storage area. We haven't created any linked service for the sync dataset. Let's create a data lake linked service, and it is the same process that we did for the source. So I'm just fast forwarding it here. So once it is created, attach your destination dataset into the sync option, and that's all about the connections. Now let's preview our source data. So go to the source tab and then select the preview data option. I have sample product data. This data has 9 rows and 20 plus columns. It contains more information about one particular TV product. So in this project, we don't need to understand the data because this is not about my usual data science video. Just keep understand the workflow of Azure Data Services. In the delete file, you have to select your source file that you want to get deleted after the data transfer. So I'm selecting my source data set here, and once this data ingestion operation is done, it will automatically delete my source data file that is present in the blob container. So this is our data ingestion pipeline, and let's run this pipeline. So it works fine as we planned. Let's move to the data transformation pipeline. We created our data ingestion pipeline successfully. Let's create a new pipeline for data transformation. I named my new pipeline as data transformation. Now let's go to the pipeline and do some data transformation. So for transformation, we need the Databricks service from Azure. Let's drop that Databricks service from the Azure Data Factory. We have the Databricks notebook service, and we need to write our transformation code in this notebook service. So let's go back to our resource group and launch the Azure Databricks service. For running a notebook in Databricks, you need the Spark cluster. So before creating the notebook, it is very important to create the Spark cluster in Databricks. And let's create a basic Spark cluster for our basic transformation. Ideally, it will take some time for creation. So let's wait for that. So now our Spark cluster has been created. Let's create a notebook for transformation. So we have the empty notebook here, and we don't have any data to operate. The raw data is now present in the data lake because we ingested the data from blob storage to data lake. So that's why our raw data is present in the data lake. So we need to mount our storage account into the Databricks for accessing the data. I have this mounting code here, and it has some basic variables and parameters you need to change according to your current account. For example, in the source variable, the container name and storage account name variables are there. You should change those values according to your current account names. In my case, I have the container name as output. Next to that, I'm putting my storage account name. So you should have to put your own names instead of mine. Then only you will successfully mount your storage. Okay. And I'm following the same way for extra configs parameter. You should need to give your storage account name, and you need to share the key of the storage account into the Databricks. And for getting that key, you need to go to the storage account and select the access keys and select any one of the keys that are displayed here. Once you copied that, go to your Databricks and paste the key like this. So remember, once your storage account is mounted in the Databricks, you can delete or comment the code like this, because if you run this code again, it will throw up the error while running the pipeline. The mount point has been already created. The Databricks won't allow you to create the mount point again and again. So it is better to comment that code for successful run. Let's import the necessary libraries for our data transformation. And here is the one thing I want to share, that is the Databricks is more friendly towards the Spark flavored languages such as PySpark, Java, Scala or R, and for Python the Spark provides PySpark module to us to write and transform the data. The specialty about the Spark is it won't accept the general data frames that we use it for pandas. It has one data frame structures such as RDD and Spark data frames. But nowadays in main scale projects, people are mostly rely on Spark data frames rather than RDD, because RDD is very slower than the Spark data frames. That's the main thing, people are shifting towards the Spark data frames for data transformation. If you're coding in Databricks, try to adapt any one of the above languages, because it is necessary to interact when you are in Databricks. That's the optimal solution for data transformation if you are using the Databricks. So we have the data here. By using this data, we need to find the price elasticity of this particular product called Samsung TV. And if you want to know what is the concept of price elasticity and formula, I attached the resources in the description. So go to the links and try to understand the concept of price elasticity and why we are using the price elasticity. You can find explanations of price elasticity concept here, because this video is not about understanding the price elasticity. It is about Azure and its workflow. And if you want to know about the concept of price elasticity, then comment it down. I will make a separate video about it. Once the transformation is done, I wrote the code here which will save my last result data frame in the elasticity folder. So this is the end of data transformation. Now the data transformation script is ready. Let's attach this script in Azure Data Factory. We are now in the Azure Data Factory. Select the notebook function and go to the Azure Data Factory tab, and then click new for creating a new linked service for Azure Data Factory, and put all the required information for Databricks linked service. So once it is done, go to the access token for authentication, and for getting the access token, go to the Databricks and then select the user settings and generate the token for you. Now copy the token and put the token in the Databricks linked service. So that's all about the entire process of creating a linked service for Databricks. So let's create a linked service. So once it is done, go to the settings tab and select your notebook that you have created. That's all about the data transformation pipeline. And let's connect the both pipelines. For connecting the both pipeline, you need to create a new pipeline. Let's create that pipeline called final pipeline, and then drop execute pipeline function from the data factory. So once it is done, select the execute pipeline one and go to the settings and select the invoked pipeline, and then select the data ingestion pipeline. Now go to the second one, and in the invoked pipeline you need to select the data transformation pipeline. So that's all about the process of merging the pipelines. Now our data ingestion and data transformations are ready to run. Let's run the final pipeline. So the pipeline executed successfully, and you can now see the results in the output destination. So look at the elasticity results folder. Inside that we have some files, and our record output file is this. So why it is named like this? The entire Databricks is run behind the Spark system. The Spark system operates the data in the distributed computing approach. So the data will be splitted into different worker nodes for transformation. It will rejoin from multiple partitions. So that's why we got the single partition file output, because in our case we are using very lightweighted data set. So that's why it created a single partition file. Suppose in case if you are using a large data set, then you will see the multiple number of output files in a specific folder that you mentioned. Okay, so that's all about the video. I hope you understand some concepts about Azure Data Services. For more videos, subscribe and turn on the notification bell for regular updates. Thanks for watching, and thank you. See you on next another week.